All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, always getting you set for a big 2018 college football campaign. We're here live just about every day and bringing you the very best analysis, discussion, and debate that you will find online. If you find somebody better, let me know. Like to check them out. But in addition to my analysis, of course, I bring on the very best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the industry. And we had scheduled tonight what I expected to be a nice conversation with Bert Iwata. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Bert, Iwata. He is the official spotter for USC football. So he spots the game. So if you don't know what a spotter is, all the broadcast teams have a spotter who basically points out all the key roster and player identification. They do other things, but that's the main reason that the role was created, was to have a spotter, meaning that they help out the play-by-play guy and the analyst in terms of determining who made the tackle, how many yards, and down and distance, and all the things going on during the football game, but especially regarding personnel. So Bert Iwata, who contacted me on Twitter, and we've traded a number of emails and text messages, was supposed to be on tonight at 9:45 Eastern time. But unfortunately, I've had a bad streak of guests having to cancel, and it's somewhat making me possibly reposition my strategy in terms of the way I produce content. So if you guys have been with me for quite some time, probably most of you out of the handful of people that are jumping on the live stream tonight have been with me for quite a while to know that I enjoy the conversation with all sorts of people across the industry covering their specific conference or team. Love having those conversations. But in terms of the effectiveness, the popularity of some of these team reports, they don't seem to be delivering. I believe in the future that I'm going to focus a little bit more on my own analysis of providing some of the lists and some of the analysis that you would expect. Top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 wide receivers, top 10 safeties, ranking the coaches within the conferences, ranking the top 5 at every position in the conferences, ranking the schedules, ranking. I love to rate and rank things. And when I bring on some of these bloggers, we have tremendous conversations. So, for example, last night, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, and Jordan K. from Arizona State to talk the Sun Devils from House of Sparky, and also a TCU guest that joined me for the first time. Can't remember the gentleman's name. Billy Wessels from Rivals, TCU. I love those conversations because I get a guy that writes nothing but TCU football for Rivals. Bring him on. We talk up the Horned Frogs for a half hour, and I learn TCU top to bottom. Get the recruiting update, get the take on Gary Patterson, the state of the program, the quarterback position with a new quarterback in Sean Robinson taking the place of Kenny Hill, the playmakers, the offensive line, all the personnel units, the complete breakdown, the schedule. We got to talk about the grudge that TCU and its fans have against Ohio State because of 2014. I love that discussion, but I don't know, outside of anybody out there that loves TCU football, that all of you care about TCU to that degree. So going forward, I believe I'm going to be opting for more broad scale national analysis. And then if something big happens at TCU, they fire Gary Patterson, they bring on a new offensive coordinator, something like that, then we'll talk TCU football. And of course, try to preview as many games week to week as we can during the season. So if TCU has a big game against Texas, Oklahoma, somebody like that, Ohio State, then we will preview the game and try to bring on the people that know the team inside and out. But the Tennessee team reports and the USC team reports and the Oklahoma team reports and the Penn State team reports don't seem to do so well, even though I love that analysis from the guys and the gals that cover these teams each and every day and know the teams inside and out, and I get the personnel breakdown. I love it for myself, but it doesn't necessarily generate clicks online. So we're going to focus more nationally, and also it wastes a ton of my time in terms of having back and forths in communication with these people trying to nail down a time. It is just a huge effort to do that. So I'm going to strike up the live stream and see what you guys have on your minds. Meanwhile, I'm going to let you know that this week we are going to break down the top 10 quarterbacks in the SEC, the top 10 running backs in the SEC. I'm going to have that conversation with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama and Mike LaValle from Last Word on College Football on Thursday night. Tomorrow night, got Ryan Cantor from Shaking the Southland on SB Nation to talk not Clemson Tigers, but the top 5 running backs in the ACC. And I'm looking to bring on another ACC guest to also give their top 5 list. And I'll have mine as well. And I want to hear from you. So what I would like to see in the comments, both on the live stream tonight, and if you want to respond to any video that I have out there, give me your top 5, any position, any conference in the country. Your top 5, that position, or your top 10 at any position in the country nationally. Your top 10 quarterbacks nationally. Your top 10 defensive ends nationally. If you want to rank coaches in the ACC, give it to me. I want to see your rankings for the coaches in the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12. So I'm just giving examples, but not those specific positions and conferences, but group of 5. Your top 5 quarterbacks in the group of 5, or your top 10 running backs in the group of 5. Whatever your list, give it to me either in this comment section of the live stream or go to any of the videos. You also know that I'm running a contest in conjunction with our brother Alonzo1219, the U family. If you have yet to check out any of the video conversations that I've had with Alonzo, they're a whole lot of fun. And he has been gracious enough to offer some swag. So here is the deal. From now until July 15th, we are running a contest in which the viewer, the subscriber out there who is subscribed to Alonzo1219 and subscribe to Mark Rogers TV and brings me the most subscribers with at least, let's say, 10. So if somebody wins 2-1, sorry, no swag. But at least 10 subscribers over the next month. Contest runs until July 15th. And we have one person in particular who's off to a good start. Bring me at least 10 subscribers. And the person who brings the most subscribers will win some swag. And it's quality swag. So check out Alonzo1219. Subscribe there. Make sure you're subscribed to me and bring me the most subscribers. And you win some swag. Now, the swag that Alonzo showed off is the big Canes turnover chain. So he has those in stock. But if you're not a Miami fan, that's fine. He can work up anything that plays to your team. All right, I'm going to strike up the live stream and see what you have. But again, top 5 at any position in any conference in America. Give me your top 5 list, either on this live stream or on any of the videos, or your top 10 at any position across the country, or rank the coaches, whether that be nationally or within any of the conferences. Let's go to the live stream and see what you guys have on a Tuesday night. Again, I had hoped to bring you Bert Iwata. He is the official spotter for USC football. But Bert tells me that he's stuck in traffic, unfortunately, and was not able to join us tonight. All right. I see Dondre on the chat. I see Country Boy. And I see a lot of people chiming in. Let's see what we've got. All right. I can't get to the top of the chat, but I can get close to it. All right. Savage 19. We need to recruit better defensive tackles. Fresh 3542. Who's your team? We need Alabama strength coach. Navy Thomas, issues at the College World Series. Of course, they had more rain tonight. I just came from work, and we're highly involved in the College World Series. And one of the games tonight suspended and moved until tomorrow at noon Eastern time. All right. Where was Nebraska in it? So recently we have talked up Nebraska, TCU, Alabama, Arizona State, Ohio State, Michigan. Who else am I missing? A number of teams. So check out those team reports in recent days. Enjoy the conversation with Parker Gabriel from Husker Extra to talk Nebraska football yesterday, and Jordan K from House of Sparky talking Arizona State. Check out those videos. Never was in play, 5 pitchers out with injuries. However, Archie smacked you down today. So I'm guessing the great idea is the top 5 and top 10 lists. You can pull your own weight easily. What is good, Mark? Dondre, how you doing tonight? Hope everything is good with you. Country boy the same. Donovan Robinson jumping on board. Mark, who's your favorite college and pro teams? Ohio State, Cleveland Browns. I'm a Buckeye through and through. That's where I grew up. So let it be known. If you watch the channel, so who asked that? That's a Western 04. West End, I'm sorry, West End 04. So I take it as a sense of and source of pride that many times over the last few years since I've had the channel, that Ohio State fans and just college football fans in general have thought that I have been hard on Ohio State, not knowing that I'm a Buckeyes fan, that I've presented the facts, the logic, the common sense, the analysis straight across the board to the degree that Ohio State fans have attacked me for not liking Ohio State. I have comments on my channel from people who have said, you've got something against Ohio State. So I have held that as a badge of honor because we want to be as unbiased as possible. Is it entirely feasible, possible to be unbiased? No, it's not. We are all biased in some direction, in some way, by something, but I do my very best. I heard Kirk Herbstreit make this comment one time that he tries to err on the side against Ohio State. He tries to lean that way just a little bit, just to make sure, just to counterbalance his bias. Richardson, wide receiver, Canes top 5. Meaning I'm on Richards, I believe. Country boy. Johnny Bay's on the line. 19 Savage on the line. Guys all seem to be doing okay. Dondre jumps in with the ACC top 5 running backs. A.J. Dillon, Cam Akers, Tavian Feaster. It's got Travis Homer in there, and the running back Lynch from Georgia Tech. Okay. New Mark was an OSU fan. He defends them every time, takes shots at them. Again, Big Poppy JT, if you would check out the videos and the comments in the videos, I didn't have a whole lot of Ohio State fans patting me on the back 2 years ago when I said Penn State should be selected for the college football playoff and not Ohio State. How many Ohio State fans do you think were celebrating me in 2016 when I went on and on and on, check out the videos, and ranted and ranted and ranted that said Penn State's getting screwed? Not a lot of Buckeye fans loved me then. I am good. NCIS Fanatic 21. Go Alabama with a bunch of little victims. George piping in. Ryan, what you got for top 5 running backs in the SEC? DeAndre Swift, Georgia, number 1. Benny Snell at number 2. Out of Kentucky, Damian Harris, Bama at 3. Number 4 is Missouri's Demarie Crockett, and Eris Williams, Mississippi State, ran for 1,100 yards last year in Starkville at number 5. Okay, I like the list. So again, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we will strike up the live stream. You know what? I'm not going to guarantee the live stream because this is going to be posted later to Shaking the Southland on SB Nation. So I believe it's been requested of me to just record the segment on the ACC top 5 running backs, not to do a live stream, and you will see that posted a little bit later. On Thursday night, I'll have to make a judgment call on whether I just want to record top 5 SEC quarterbacks, top 5 SEC running backs, or do the live stream. I love to hear you guys and your comments, especially now that we're going to dive into all these lists. But at the same time, I have been told, and it seems to be playing out, that YouTube treats the recordings much better. They tend to knock down the live streams in the suggested videos and don't treat them and get them into the mix to get a lot of views. What am I talking about? Talking about what's coming up later this week, George. What's coming up later this week is top 5 running backs in the ACC, top 5 in the SEC, top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC as well. We will at least get to those positions for sure. How good will Khalil Tate be? And a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. Take them to the Pac-12 championship game. Florida not going to win nothing. 2 negatives. Double negative there, Cash Boy. Not good grammar. Top 5 Pac-12 running backs. Bryce Love, everybody else. That's the easy way out. There are other people to talk about. Myles Gaskin, Washington, very good running back. Stephen Carr, USC. We will talk up the Pac-12 as well. No, I'm not watching the World Cup. I hate soccer. Hate it with a passion. So I have never watched the World Cup. I know people who don't enjoy soccer. They don't watch it. They don't follow it. Then for some reason, when the World Cup comes along every 4 years, they're suddenly into the World Cup. Well, why would you suddenly be into something that you don't like normally just because there's a lot of it and it's a big deal? I don't really get that myself. All right. Miami is irrelevant. They can't beat Florida State or Clemson or Florida or LSU. Get off the grounds. This is College Football Channel. We have other soccer haters. And that doesn't mean I don't have respect for the soccer player as an athlete. They run and run and run and run, and they do amazing things, especially now with these backflips and kicks into the net. If you're just going to show me like a tremendous, amazing soccer kick where the guy stands on his head and kicks it through the net, or the guy makes an amazing save, and I've got to watch like 4 seconds, perfect. Saw it, was impressed beyond belief. But to sit there and watch soccer has never happened in my life, will never happen. I'd rather watch paint dry than soccer. Prince is on the line. Prince, 6'1", Hoghead as well. Good to see you. Okay, Uncle Lou. So we traded some emails last week. We were supposed to get together on Sundays. Lou forgot, as I did as well, that Sunday was Father's Day. We both had plans and had to nix the conversation on Sunday. I have reached out to Lou to see if he wanted to get together this Friday. He has yet to get back to me. So hopefully this Friday, it'll be Uncle Lou and me, Mark Rogers TV, and Uncle Lou with a great college football conversation. Also, I have been listening recently to the Athlon's Cover 2 podcast. Really solid college football podcast, hardcore stuff. So I reached out to both hosts. Can't think of the guy's name. Braden Gall is one of the hosts, and he got back to me and said, sure, I would love to come on your show and talk college football. and also Mitch Light, who is the managing editor at Athlons. So Athlons, pretty serious stuff. Managing editor at Athlons, Mitch Light, and he is also the co-host at Cover 2 podcast. He's coming on Friday, 12:30 live stream, 12:30 Eastern time on Friday with Mitch Light from the Cover 2 podcast and Athlon. So that should be a good time. I think I saw some other top fives and top tens pass me by. Martin writes, hey, Mark, you should get Uncle Lou and Alonso on. That would be a great show. Yeah, that would be a whole lot of fun to get those guys on together. But for right now, it's me and it's Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou called Gus Malzahn an overpaid PE teacher. Well, Uncle Lou, Georgia, any Auburn coach, I don't know what he's going to say about that, but I'll leave that up to Uncle Lou. Ryan with the top 5 wide receivers in the SEC. Deebo Samuel, who we hope is able to stay on the field for longer than 3 games. He scored 6 touchdowns in 3 games to start the season for South Carolina last year. Then he got hurt and was out for the rest of the season. A.J. Brown of Ole Miss, number 2. Mizzou's Emmanuel Hall, 3. Terry Godwin of Georgia at 4, and Jerry Jeudy of Bama at 5. That's Ryan's top 5 wide receivers in the SEC. Mark, who do you think has the most potential in college football this season that had a bad last season? Bad is relative, Tyler, but I appreciate the question. So who had a bad 2017? I would consider 7-6 for Oregon to be bad. And they've got a chance to do some damage this year. They play nobody out of conference. They've got their 2 arch rivals and 2 best teams in the North Division of the Pac-12 at home in Washington and Stanford. They've got Justin Herbert, who will be a top 5 selection in the NFL draft in 2019 at quarterback. He only played 6 or 7 games last year. Hopefully he makes it through the entire schedule. And they have some serious playmakers on defense. Oregon is very thin on defense in terms of 2 deep talent, but they've got about 4 top-notch NFL-type players at D-end, linebacker, and at safety. Jim Leavitt took over the defense at Oregon last year, left Colorado, came to Oregon, and they jettisoned up the metrics, the advanced numbers in terms of national rankings defensively. They played so much better defense last year. Expect them to be, if they stay healthy, they're paper thin, but if they stay healthy, for Oregon to be even better on defense this year, have the key games at home, play nobody out of conference, which obviously does not factor into the conference championship. But if they are to possibly, now this is a long shot, and yeah, it's been a long day. I need some water. My voice is squeaking. In terms of the national scene, the non-conference games mean a whole lot, and Oregon plays nobody out of conference, that maybe they make a push for the college football playoff. So that would be the one team that comes to mind, whoever asked that question. I forget who it was now because the live stream is passing me by. They come to mind first and foremost. Utah only went 6-6 in the regular season last year, won the bowl game against West Virginia. So a 7-6 Utah team, they have a chance. They're probably in a better position, at least in week 1, to win the Pac-12 South than even USC. The Trojans have a more talented roster, but Utah is settled in key positions. Of course, I'm speaking about quarterback first and foremost. So Utah could take off this year as well as a 7-6 team last year. Who else? Texas, of course. Steve Merrill was on from Pro Sports Info just a couple days ago, and we had what I thought was a great conversation. And I love having Steve on. And these videos don't get a ton of views, but you guys need to check these out coming up this fall. Anytime I have Steve Merrill on, this guy is a handicapper and odds maker that makes a ton of sense, knows what he's doing, and provides tremendous insight into the values, the strategy, the money management aspect, and of course, just talking sheer odds and point spreads of the games. We had him on just about every Friday last year, and we'll do the same this year, talking college football. And Steve, like me, loves Texas. Now, I haven't pulled the trigger yet on my predictions to say Texas is going to go 11-1 and go to the college football playoff. But Texas, I am considering them to be maybe the dark horse in the nation to do big things. There are going to be other dark horses that were maybe 4-8 last year, like a Maryland, who might go 7-5. But a dark horse who was good last year, of course, beat Missouri in the bowl game to finish. I said 8-5. I believe somebody corrected me this week, and I looked it up. Yeah, they went 7-6. I think I assumed that they were going to beat Texas Tech to finish off the season. They lost that game to drop to 6-6, and then they had the big bowl game win against Mizzou, dominating that game 33-16. So Texas finished 7-6. Maybe they jump to a Big 12 championship, and maybe the Big 12 gets left out because maybe it's Texas who wins the conference but loses an out-of-conference game, maybe against USC, or doesn't have a dominant conference season. Maybe they go 7-2, win the Big 12 championship game, but they're 10-2 or 9-3, and they get left out of the college football playoff. I could definitely see that happening. Jamie, I think the Ducks can make the playoffs, but I'd rather win a Rose Bowl. I think we're a year away from competing in the playoffs. So Jamie, I love the Rose Bowl. I grew up with the Rose Bowl truly being the granddaddy of them all. But we're in a different world now. The college football playoffs, you are 2 games away from winning an elusive national championship that you don't have in the program's history. And you would trade maybe winning a Rose Bowl. That doesn't guarantee just because you go to Pasadena that you're going to win the Rose Bowl. You would give up a trip to the college football playoffs to go to the Rose Bowl. Okay. I live in Oregon. If they had a football team, I would be the first to know about it. So George is still needing to find the football team. George, Corvallis, Oregon. They're not very good, but they play in orange and black. Mike Riley showed up in town again. He wanders off and goes to these other places to coach a little football, but he always finds his way back to Corvallis. And maybe they'll win a game in conference this year. They took 9 shots at it last year and couldn't get it done. Oregon will lose 42-20 again if they make the playoff. 42-20. That score sounds familiar from about 2014. Emory Jones will win the Heisman. He is going to my list up. Do I have a list, George? I didn't make a list of Heisman candidates yet. Texas not going 10-2. Cash Boy, are we positive about that? Not going 10-2. Cash Boy D, write me back. Tell me what Texas is going to finish this year. Texas will find some way to mess it up. OU, 11 Big 12 crowns in 22 years, 3 in a row, going for 4. How can't we hang with the big boys, but LSU can't even hang with the little boys losing at home to Troy? That Troy loss is just going to hang with LSU until they win the SEC. Distilled water, whatever's the finest that they offer at the ESPN cafeteria. That's what it is. Ryan with another top 5. I love it. Top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. Jake Fromm, Georgia, number 1. Drew Lock at number 2 from Mizzou. Jarrett Stidham, Auburn at number 3. Number 4 is Jordan Ta'amu from Ole Miss. And number 5, couldn't make up his mind. Do you go with Nick Fitzgerald, the safe pick, or Tua, based on about 10 throws in the national championship game, Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama? Cash Boy D, that's what I was guessing. That's what I was thinking. We were 8-4. I can see it, 8-4. Cash Boy D, I haven't made a prediction on the Big 12. I'm just letting you know that I'm thinking about Texas being not necessarily the Big 12 champ, but when you consider they are at a 35-1 odds to win the national championship, that's a pretty good value. Where's all the Clemson content? I don't know. If you caught me at the beginning, which you probably didn't, Clemson alum 98, I don't know that you're going to see as many team reports out of any of these teams, except maybe Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, USC does well, and Miami does well. But people are just not watching me for the team reports. For some reason, you guys just don't get into that. I've got almost 5,000 subscribers. And if I release a TCU report on recruiting and position previews and state of the program and grudge match against Ohio State, and I look and it's got 175 or 200 views out of 5,000 subscribers, and that's even with a rivals guy on, a guy that really knows what he's talking about, breaking down TCU football. I can look up, there are YouTube channels out there that are awful, awful, just rubbish, just guys just rambling off the top of their head. No analysis, no real common sense, no logic, no knowledge. They just look at the schedule and kind of, TCU is going to go 9-3. And or they do their top 10 of this or that, and those get tremendous amounts of views. For some reason, people don't like team reports. So we may get out of the team report aspect here. And also because it's tough to track these people down and match schedules. All right. I think I missed a top 5 or top 10 list here. So I apologize if I did somewhere way back. Yeah, I got Ryan's list. Top 5 in the SEC at quarterback. Yeah, so I think I missed the other one. Maryland, Bash Gaming. Did I get that right? Bosch Gaming. Maryland is the one team to beat my beloved Buckeyes this year. So Ohio State goes undefeated, beats Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, TCU as well. Doesn't get by the Terps. That would be crazy. What else we got going here? Miami still winning the Coastal. No way Virginia Tech beats them. Prince, no way in Blacksburg. Miami was barely winning games. Malik sucks. LSU gonna F them up bad. I think the Open College Football Talk is the best. So you just like this, Jamie. Just wide open. Mark, how good do you think Khalil Tate will be? Can he carry Arizona to the Pac-12 championship? It is the Pac-12. Yeah, it is the Pac-12. Big Poppy JT, I love when you get on here. You've got smart things to say. You've got good questions. The typing, got to work on the typing just a little bit. Khalil Tate, good do I think he is? The one thing that I like about Khalil Tate, in addition to the obvious that he's maybe now that Lamar Jackson has moved on to Baltimore, the most dynamic player at quarterback in college football, is that if you track his passing skills, if you look at the numbers, the game log, which I did, I don't watch Arizona football, but I saw Khalil play against USC and I saw the bowl game against Purdue. So I finally got to see him play after he had those 5 ridiculous games where he was running for 150 and 200 yards per game, but they're playing Utah and Colorado, and I'm watching the better games, that I finally got to see him play. The kid can throw. He's not Peyton Manning out there. He's not polished. He's not dissecting the defense, but he knows where he's going with it. He delivers the ball on time, and he's got an idea. He's got a clue back there. So he may, under the tutelage of Kevin Sumlin, may get even better as a passing quarterback. I do find it interesting that his final 3 opponents bottled him up in the running game. He went from just tearing everybody to shreds. Then against Arizona State, I think it was Oregon and Purdue, he was gaining 30 and 40 yards rushing. So interesting to note that Khalil Tate may not be the menace in the rushing game this year that he was last year. We'll see if that's a trend. Jamie, a fast defense shuts down Tate. Look at the Oregon game last year. Okay, Jamie, to my point, and also it was surprising what Purdue was able to shut him down to. It's orange and yellow, Mark. Peyton Manning was a dog in college. Was he really? Come on, Navy Thomas 8, just because you manhandled him in one bowl game. A dog? The best quarterback in the country. All right. What else? Mickey Mariota is an awesome strength and conditioning coach. Man, I'm just picking out comments at random. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Does USC have the worst quarterback battle in college football? Well, they do right now. They certainly did in the spring. GO 1330 with Matt Finks and Jack Sears. They were awful. So at that time during the spring, we brought on Ryan Abraham from USCFootball.com and Keely Yor, and also Drew Krinsky joined us a number of times from Trojans Insider. And they said that quarterback situation during the spring looked awful. It was painful to watch those two guys throw the ball. So they are just hoping and praying, as all you USC fans are, that when JT Daniels shows up in August, he's going to show all the skills and all the talent and the upside, but is he going to grasp the offense? That's what he needs to be able to do to win the job out of the gate. Otherwise, we may have another Sam Darnold situation where USC runs into a Texas game on the road and at Stanford, and it doesn't look too pretty, and then JT Daniels gets the keys a little bit later, and they get better. Saw another top 5 list in here somewhere. Panther Pro 22, top 5 SEC running backs, probably fairly close to Ryan's, but he's got Damian Harris, Bama number 1, Benny Snell number 2, from Kentucky, DeAndre Swift, Georgia Bulldog at number 3, Texas A&M's Travion Williams at number 4, who I loved from the time I saw him his freshman season 2 years ago. Really good at Texas A&M. Number 5, Arius Williams from Mississippi State, and some potential breakout player. So a bonus play from Panther Pro 22 with Najee Harris, freak athlete at Alabama, averaged almost 9 yards a carry. Cam Martin, Zamir White, Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler's got a real opportunity to take the job at Tennessee and run with it. We've been on national TV constantly. Peyton Manning couldn't even beat Florida. No, he couldn't. And, yeah, that was his legacy there. We've got another top 5. That would be, again, Bash or Bosch Gaming, top 5 Big Ten quarterbacks. Clayton Thorson, number 1. Really? Not with you there. Trace McSorley at number 2 from Penn State. Shea Patterson, number 3. Brian Lewerke at 4. And number 5 would be Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State. So I will have for you at least the quarterback position. My goal, I've said it many times, I can't believe I'm going to hit it, but I'll state it. I would like to have a breakdown of top 5 at every position in every conference. That's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, probably split into ends and tackles, linebackers, safeties, corners, and special team specialists, punt returners, place kickers. That's like 10 or 12 positions, 5 conferences. It's like 60 videos. Don't know if I'll get to it, but I'm going to try. And I would like to, I bet the last 2 or 3 years, if you guys weren't following me then, and I don't think you were, I would bet that we got to 2/3 to 3/4 of the country the last few years. We did a ton of positional breakdowns in each conference, and we'll get to a few this week. Wednesday night, top 5 ACC running backs. Thursday night, top 5 SEC running backs and quarterbacks. Do you think Mark has a white shirt on and he's sitting in black light, or is it that actually a purple pink shirt? I'm proud to be donning the hot pink. It's the hot pink. Yeah, it's just the funky lighting and with the ugly yellow wall. It's really not yellow. It was supposed to be popcorn when I bought the paint. Really kind of with a lot of butter in it, popcorn. But so sometimes, depending on what I'm wearing, you'll get different looks at what my face looks like and the skin tone and the color design of my clothes. All right, Too Bad 28's back on the line. Good to see. The hot pink, yeah. Burrow for Heisman. Does Arkansas have potential with their new coach from SMU? Of course they do. He's an offensive whiz. Chad Morris, Clemson. That Clemson pedigree. And with that Texas, he's got a ton of Texas ties. He knows so many high school coaches in Texas that he may make some inroads to Arkansas, because that's what the Hogs need. That's what makes it difficult to win big at Arkansas in the SEC Western Division. LSU can stay at home. Alabama, to the most part, can stay at home, and they don't even have that issue. They can recruit anywhere. But LSU can stay at home. Of course, Texas A&M can stay at home. Even Ole Miss and Mississippi State. The talent in Mississippi is phenomenal, especially considering the per capita issues they have. But for Arkansas, they are the one school in the SEC Western Division that has to go elsewhere for talent. So they're already behind the 8 ball. But Chad Morris has a shot. Top 5 SEC running backs. Big Ten running backs. Sorry. Karan Higdon at number 1 from Michigan, Jonathan Taylor 2 from Wisconsin. So I love the out-of-the-box thinking here, because when I release my lists, what I emphasize is just because I rate 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 doesn't mean that's the way I think it's going to finish statistically, because think about it. If you're looking at a running back, if you're just going to project and predict who's going to have the best season statistically, then you need to look at the offensive line. You need to look at how good the team is. Are they going to be able to run the ball in the fourth quarter, or are they often going to have to be passing in the fourth quarter? Who's the offensive coordinator? What type of style offense do they have? Is he going to get enough carries? Who's the backup running back? Is the backup going to play a lot and take carries away from the starter? No, I base it strictly on these are the 5 running backs in the ACC that I think are the best. So they may not finish with the 5 best statistics in that order, because that plays into a lot of different factors. I go solely on these are the 5 guys in order who I think are the best. Think Tom Brady in the NFL. If he suddenly have to play, who's the worst team offensively in the NFL? Whoever that is, I can't think off the top of my head. If he had to go to, every team I think of is pretty good offensively at the skill positions. Let's say Tom Brady had to go to the Denver Broncos and play behind what's one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. His stats would go down, but he is still Tom Brady. He's still the same player. So that's how I rate it. Other guys look at the stats and basically are making a projection about who are going to have the best stats. Did you see the article on the offensive coordinator for FAU? I did not. George, it's my personality. You should know better than to ask that question. Navy Thomas 8. I'm fascinated with the FAU story this year, especially since they've got to go to Norman and play Oklahoma. Devin Singletary's a great back. He may make my top 10 nationally. Spoiler alert there, possibly. I've looked at 35 running backs for my top 10. But send me, Navy Thomas on Twitter, DM me, send me the article. I'll give it a read. Prince, 6'1", top 5 defensive ends. Nick Bosa, Cleveland Farrell, Joe Jackson, Zach Allen, Brian Burns. Does that? I missed the rest of it. If Blake Barnett transfers, he might win the national championship. The best running back in the SEC is Florida's Malik Davis. That's an off-the-radar selection, and I was starting to comment on, I forget who it was that rated Karan Higdon as number 1 in the Big Ten, because if you look at any magazine, any analyst out there, they're most likely going to say Jonathan Taylor's number 1 and J.K. Dobbins is number 2 in the Big Ten, because Taylor ran for the most yardage. That doesn't mean he's not the best. I just think most analysts and most writers just default to what people know and what they know based on last season. And this is another thing I'm going to make clear in my rankings, is that I'm not ranking 2017. So, of course, 2017 and what happened that year means a whole lot toward projecting toward this fall. But I'm also making a projection of who's going to get better, who may not improve at all, and what is the projection going to be for this year. Hey, Mark, do you think Joey or Nick is the best? Well, obviously, Joey Bosa is the best right now. Look at the 2 seasons he's turned in the NFL. Miami and putting 40 on our defensive blah 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 blah. Somebody said 48-10 for the Miami LSU game. Top 5 Mark Rogers TV fans. Now there's a list. Prince, you gave me a great idea. 6'1". He is number 1. The poll's a bit biased, but Prince 6'1" goes at the first spot, followed by NCIS Fanatic 21, Country Boy, George, whatever that handle is. I still haven't made anything out of that. And Donovan Robinson. LSU 34-17, according to George. George, you're usually out there with your scores. They said the same thing about us destroying Notre Dame. Got to admit, I didn't see that coming. And I probably missed a lot of good comments, so I apologize for anything. It's flying by, and when I start to talk, I miss a few things. George, this is a very old shirt. Don't think you want to go there. Think you're good without the pink shirt. 2018 breakout star, Miami Hurricanes, Jeff Thomas. So that's another great category to tackle. And I was thinking that I would this offseason, breakout players, and I did to a certain extent. And the problem with these live streams is that a lot of people don't know if they didn't join the live stream and they're watching afterwards, and all it says is USC Trojans live stream or live talk or whatever. They don't know that we broke down the linebackers and the defensive line and the wide receivers, and didn't know that we talked about breakout players, because that was something I promised a number of months ago, that I would address breakout players for 2018. And if you look at the videos, it doesn't seem like I hit on it. But if you really dive into each discussion that I've had with the various bloggers and broadcasters, I tore through a ton of breakout players. I don't know if you guys are into recruiting and hearing from the recruits themselves, but I had a conversation today with Renardo Green. He is a Florida State commit, the 35th ranked cornerback, according to 247 Sports, and we had a nice conversation, and you'll see that interview posted here in the next few days. All right, what else we got going here? Bash Gaming, Pac-12 quarterbacks, Justin Herbert at 1, Jake Browning at 2, Ross Bowers of Cal at 3, Khalil Tate at 4, Manny Wilkins at number 5. Make sure you get this one. All right. It's always good stuff, guys. I've been running since about 10 a.m., which doesn't seem that early, except consider that I worked until 5:30 in the morning the night before. So I jumped in bed for like 4 hours, turned it around, and worked all day. And then I jumped on the live stream. And again, we had scheduled Bert Iwata, who is the USC official spotter for the games. But Bert could not join us tonight. Hey, you guys, you are tremendous. Tim, you had a recruit to call in for a show. No, he did not call in. Had a recruit on. So basically what I've done in the past, and again, I think most of you guys weren't with me last off season or the season before, have just joined me here during this off season, which is great to see. So I appreciate it. And we'll have a whole lot of fun this football season. So I'm glad to have a whole lot of new followers and viewers to join these chats during an actual football season. Just wait till we've got actual football to talk about, games to talk about. But in past off seasons, what I've done is I've had a ton of interviews with the top recruits in the country. And that's another thing that's very exhaustive in terms of, let's say I grab the top 50 recruits on the ESPN 300, and I tweet them and ask them very nicely, of course, to come on the show. I basically say something like, "Hey, John, would love to have you on the show to talk about your college football career. Let me know if you're interested." And then I send them the link to the channel so that they can see what we do here. And you can imagine when you're blindly tweeting people, you get a response of maybe 10%. So then I get about 5 out of those 50 that I tweeted, and then a bunch of them don't tweet me back, even though they said they would do it, or they don't show up. I had 3 scheduled on Monday with top recruits, and they all said, "Yeah, I can make it at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 2:30." And then 1 o'clock, 2 and 2:30 came, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot." So those are the problems that I run into as well, that a lot of YouTubers don't run into when they just do solo videos. I am constantly trying to schedule things, and that's taking away from the content as well. So you guys will know what happened if one day just no more guests and it's just me all the time. It's that I just got freaking sick of chasing people down. Do the recruits do a pretty good job of following through with your interview? So basically, what I just said, I would say half the time after they say they'll do it, then I say, "What days and times work for you?" They don't get back to me. And then about half the time they do get back to me, but then I say, "How about Tuesday night?" And then they say, "Can't make it." And then I say, "What about Wednesday night?" And then they disappear. And that just happens over and over and over and over. Yeah, teenagers. Bosch Gaming, top 5 ACC quarterbacks. Ryan Finley of NC State. Number 2 is Syracuse's Eric Dungy. 3 is Josh Jackson from Virginia Tech. That would be Josh Jackson. Number 4, Jawan Pass of Louisville. Number 5, Kelly Bryant or Trevor Lawrence. See, okay, Bosch Gaming, I love your top 5s, except one thing. You made one what I consider to be a mistake. Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence are not the same quarterback. So you're basically telling us that I've decided that the Clemson quarterback is the 5th best quarterback in the ACC. If Trevor Lawrence wins that job and Kelly Bryant wins that job, their performances are going to be considerably different in different ways. They're different players. So I don't know that they're both the 5th best quarterback in the ACC. I'm thinking that maybe one of them is a top 5 quarterback, whoever wins that job, and the guy that didn't win the job, hopefully for Dabo Swinney, he made the right choice, is really that close to being a top 5 quarterback in the conference. I might be wrong. There's certainly situations in which it's that close and that tight that they both could be the 5th best quarterback, or the 5th and 6th the best quarterbacks in the ACC. Big Poppy JT, Mark, when I get ranked, I'll come on. Hey, that's not up to me, Big Poppy JT. That's up to your peers out there who are ranking. I haven't seen you in a top 5, so you haven't made an impact to that degree. Mark's trying to cover up for wearing a hot pink shirt. Doing my best. Doing my best. They aren't, but I think they'd be there anyway. Talking about the top 5 in the ACC. Kentucky and USC are a little high, and Florida's a little low for me. And you guys have your own conversations, and that's great. Go at it. All right. Ryan is selecting the SEC Eastern Division. Georgia, 12-0. Schedule's pretty easy. No big non-conference tests. South Carolina 9-3. Kentucky comes in third at 8-4, followed by Mizzou at 7-5, Florida 6-6, Tennessee at 5-7, Vandy at 3-9. That seems pretty reasonable. Love college football. I'm going to love this season. Love to see it play out. But as I mentioned the other night, is it becoming too predictable? Look at that SEC East. That's pretty much what we all expect. Georgia's the best. They're dominant. South Carolina's second best. Florida, does Dan Mullen do something this year? They definitely are better than 4 wins last year. And then, Kentucky's going to go to a bowl. Tennessee's pretty bad, but they should win most of their non-conference games, although they do play West Virginia, and then Vandy's awful. And almost every division's like that. We consider Ohio State to be the best. Well, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, they'll push them a little bit, but they're probably just behind them in some order. And then who cares about the rest of the division? It's awful. Wisconsin owns the Big Ten West, and I've come across nobody who's selecting anyone else. I will consider one other team in the Big Ten West. Clemson and Miami, is that not the default ACC championship? Is that not the game? Should we not skip the season and just put Clemson and Miami in the conference championship game to play it out? I hate to think it's that cut and dry. Now, the Big 12 and the Pac-12, the two worst conferences, my opinion. I think this is all my opinion, right? Big 12 and the Pac-12 are the most unpredictable. Stanford, Washington, Oregon, at least 3 teams in play. USC, best team, best talent, but quarterback questions. So maybe Utah sneaks in. Arizona, the best at the quarterback position. UCLA, Chip Kelly, maybe. UCLA is playing this season, as I mentioned this a few weeks ago in talking UCLA football. The Bruins are playing this season with a roster that is loaded with nothing but top 15 to 20 classes. Every class under Jim Mora that's still on the roster ranked either second, third, or fourth in the Pac-12 and top 15 to 20 in the nation, usually more like 12th or 13th in the nation. So unless those recruiting analysts screwed up on all those classes, UCLA has some pretty good talent that Chip Kelly can work with. All right. I know these kids don't know any better. They don't keep a schedule. They don't keep a calendar. And when you talk to a kid on Saturday and talk to him about, is 2:00 good on Tuesday? They're like, yeah, great. And then it's out of their mind. And not just with the kids, with everybody. And that's why I now contact everyone, unless they're rock solid. Mike LaValle, Steven Smith, the guys that are here for me each and every time. But everybody else, just to make sure, so I don't fire up the live stream and open up the laptop and turn on the lights and do the whole deal and sit here and wait for 25 minutes. I contact them before to say, we still good for noon Eastern time? All right. Anything else out there? Big 12 is better than many think. So too bad 28. I'm there with you. Worst conference in college football 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. Had the season in which Oklahoma lost to Houston, lost to Ohio State, and the other teams didn't fare well against the Power Five. Then they missed the playoff that year in 2016, and they played really well in the postseason. Not great. It's overblown. I used to have a Big 12 guy on here from the LGG, Chris Ross, great guy, but he used to come on here, and he was a little bit heavy on the Big 12, and it was a bit much, and I had to knock him down a few pegs because it was a bit much with the Big 12 talk. The recruiting tells us in the NFL draft selections that there's not a whole lot of talent in the Big 12 compared to the other conferences, but they did play well in that postseason, relatively speaking, considering their best team, Oklahoma, played an 8-4 Auburn team in the Sugar Bowl. So they weren't necessarily playing the toughest competition. And then last year, the Big 12 acquitted itself very well. Oklahoma State beat Virginia Tech in a bowl game. Oklahoma took Georgia to the wire, double OT in the Rose Bowl, beat Ohio State, of course. TCU beat Stanford. West Virginia, their loss wasn't that bad because they played Utah without Will Grier and without a few of their other playmakers on offense. Who else? Iowa State won a bowl game, I believe, over Memphis. Texas showed up against Mizzou. So the Big 12 had some good plays there in the postseason. All right, I'm going to give it one more quick look. Bosch Gaming has the top 5 Big 12 quarterbacks. So this is a real crapshoot considering that Will Grier is the one known factor coming back. Number 1, Sam Ehlinger, number 2 out of Texas. Kyler Murray at number 3. Oklahoma's Kyler Murray from Oklahoma at number 3. Kyle Kempt, Iowa State, and what he did, of course, in showing up game number 1 versus Oklahoma out of nowhere as a third-string quarterback and then playing a good season in 2017. And according to Bosch Gaming, number 5 is Shane Buechele out of Texas. So you separated the 2 Texas guys. So basically you're telling us that Sam Ehlinger should win the job. And even if Shane Buechele loses the job and is a backup quarterback, that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of teams out there that have better backup quarterbacks than starting quarterbacks in the same league. And that would be the case there with Texas. According to Bosch Gaming, that Shane Buechele is a backup quarterback, is the 5th best quarterback in the Big 12 and better than half the starting quarterbacks. Skylar Thompson, Alex Delton at Kansas State, and some other guys in the Big 12. LSU 33, Miami 17. I have never received more score predictions than I have over the last 6 weeks on this LSU Miami game. It's nonstop with you people. I got Texas beating Oklahoma. Big 12 quarterbacks are not good. Big 12 only plays chuck it ball these days. I think that's what that is. Big 12 defense never happen again. So Navy Thomas 8, I know you're down on the Big 12. You are now a full-fledged Big 10 guy as a Nebraska guy. Texas and TCU played defense last year. They were good defensively. Not great. Not Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Miami. Those were the teams that would come to mind. Anybody else really good on defense? Auburn. Not there. Not even LSU. No. But top 25 good in the nation. Legitimately. TCU, Texas last year. They weren't awful. Johnny Bay's coming in with the top 5 independent quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, etc. Every position goes to Notre Dame. Everyone. Skylar Thompson is unproven, and Alex Delton's arm is not that good. Who else could you put above Buechele? So Bosch Gaming, if you were listening, as soon as I see that BASCH, it looks like Busch each and every time, like Busch Stadium, Busch Beer. I'm sorry, I said it probably pretty quickly. I was making the point that Buechele probably is better than every other starting quarterback in the Big 12. I was just naming guys. Kansas State came to mind because I was, for your benefit, I do my homework as best I can with the time that I have. I was reading extensive, believe this. This is brutal. This was painful, but I do it for you. I was reading a huge Kansas report last night, Kansas Jayhawks football. And then I thought just naturally I would go to Kansas State. I think I'll pick 2 other teams. And as soon as we get off here, I will read the full rundown, position battles, metrics, the whole thing by Bill Connolly on somebody else. I'll probably go, why don't we do Iowa State and West Virginia? So happy you read that. Donovan, that's true. TCU is my favorite Big 12 team. The conference is as good as the best teams. If Texas and Oklahoma is good, the Big 12 is good. If Oregon and USC is good, the Pac-12 is good. If Ohio State sucks, the Big 10 sucks. Won't really get into that. Generally, I will go along with that, Jamie. But I think it's more complex than that. All right. Hopefully I haven't missed anything good. I apologize if I've missed anything, but I don't know a whole lot of YouTubers who get on here and try to respond to everything on the live chat. But I appreciate you guys chiming in on the live chat. And again, tonight we had Bert Iwata. He's the official spotter for USC football slated, but he got caught up in traffic. So it's just me blabbing, ranting, rambling, and answering your comments and questions as I love to do. All right, tomorrow night, we will at least release a ACC top 5 running backs video. I am working on top 10 in the nation at every position. I'm working on my top 10 non-conference games, ready to release that I think I mentioned the other night that I actually cut the video and there was no audio on it. So that killed me. So I've got to do it again. Top 10 under the radar games. I'm working on that. And I am going through all the positions. So you are going to hear from me a lot on rankings and ratings. And I love to do the schedules. If you weren't with me last off season, I just sat here and I just ripped off schedules and ranked them all 68 up to number one. Not off the top of my head. I put some research into that and I compared them all the way through. You guys are the best. I appreciate it. Don't forget about the giveaway, the prize from Alonzo1219. Basically, if you can bring to Mark Rogers TV as an Alonzo1219 subscriber, so you've got to subscribe to Alonzo1219. Bring me the most subscribers between now and July 15th, and you will win some good looking swag. And what I need to do is post a video that will post some pictures to give you an idea what the swag looks like. But think legitimate Canes turnover chain, like something that good. But you don't have to be a Miami fan. You can be just a college football fan of anyone. Or if you want to go off the radar and get some swag of your favorite NHL team, I think that's possible as well. But we're trying to build the community here and get subscribers. So even if you don't care about winning swag, if you think we do good work here, talk college football more than anyone else, quality college football analysis and talk, then bring people to Mark Rogers TV, your family, your friends, anybody that you know, anybody at work, anybody on Facebook, anybody on social media, your neighbor across the street, anybody who likes college football. I ask that you bring them to Mark Rogers TV. You help me considerably with your comments, with your likes, and of course, with your views and bringing subscribers to the channel. Thanks so much. I apologize for any really good comments there that I did not get to, but of course, we will be talking college football here each and every day, so you will have plenty of time here on the chat to get your points across. I will see you next time. I appreciate it. And remember, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Get the word out, and we will see you soon.